If you want to fill your kitchen with flavorful, healthy food, try the new book, Sweet and Savory Life by Yesenia Curry. Not only does this plant-based cookbook have 40 delicious nutritional recipes, it features stories and tips from the author based on her travel experiences and years of healthy cooking. A perfect book for those who want to nourish their body, mind, and spirit. Available at Amazon, your local bookstore, or at trilogy.tv.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. We are still enjoying Earth Month, and one of the best ways is to eat sweet and savory whole foods. Our guest today will talk about the new book and share some tips on how to do just that. Welcome, Yesenia Curry. How are you today?
So good, so good. Thank you for having me, Naja. So glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love the background of why you started this. So please, can you share with the viewers what the inspiration was behind the Sweet and Savory Life cookbook? What is your story?
Yeah, sure. Well, first and foremost, I'm a foodie. I enjoy really good food, so that was a big factor, and healthy. I wanted to be able to create the fusion of healthy foods, healthy plant-based foods, but that also are full of flavor, right? And so I started this plant-based journey 14 years ago, actually March of 2010, and yeah, I wasn't feeling good in my body. I was tired of just waking up not feeling my best, not having a lot of energy, having digestive issues, digestive upset. And I knew that I needed to make a change. I knew that I needed to do something different. And I had the perfect opportunity. I just so happened to be at home one late afternoon and watching the Oprah Winfrey Show. And she had an episode with Alicia Silverstone. She was releasing her cookbook at the time called The Kind Diet. And that intrigued me. It made me, curious about, I wanted to learn a little bit more about what it was, what the vegan diet was. And I was just excited about the way that she was explaining it. So immediately I bought the book. I devoured all the information and was excited about making this transition. So my husband comes home from the gym one day and I say, "Hey babe," I had a conversation with him, told him about, the episode that I saw and the change that I wanted to make. And he immediately was on board, which I'm super, super grateful for. That I know that that's not normal for, especially with such a massive shift, a massive transition, life transition like that with our diets. But he's from Brooklyn. And so he was like, "Let's do this. I support you." And he backed me 100%. I talk in the book about how I was, I told him up front, I said, "Hey, because we had, at the time we had two small children, 7 and 9 when we started. They're young adults now. But at the time I said, okay, I'm happy to make separate meals for you and the kids. And so we can kind of dip our toe, I didn't, have an expectation that everyone was going to participate in it, but he's like, "That's foolish." We're going to do it together. And it was a blessing and I was excited and we kind of dove straight in. And yeah, we've been doing it for the past 14 years. And it's been one of the most amazing decisions incredible decisions that I could have made for myself.
Well, let me ask you that, because that's one of the things when a family member, a loved one is going to go vegan and they have a family, a husband, children, even the extended family. Yeah. How does it feel to have had your family on board immediately this journey with you? What would you recommend to other families that may struggle in this area?
Well, and I recognize that's not necessarily the normal, the average situation that people be walking into, where everyone, where your immediate family is on board. But thankfully mine was. And my kids were never really picky eaters. They were always kind of like, they would eat for the most part whatever was put in front of them, or at least try it, give it a chance. But I would recommend for people who maybe have family members that are either not interested, to not, first, don't force them. Like, this is, to kind of meet people where they are, give them grace. It's not about beating anybody over the head with, that never changes anyone. People usually dig their heels in deeper and kind of do what they want to do. And that's never really been the approach. We've always just kind of moved from a place of allowing our lives to be the example, how we move. And people just sort of by nature ask questions. What are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Y'all vibrant, you look good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so people get inquisitive. And then, when we're around family and friends, after a while, people kind of already knew how we ate. But I think what happens is when it becomes personal and you start to feel, like for me and the shift that I was like, okay, I got to do something different. You just kind of come to a crossroads where you're like, something's got to give and I got to do something about it. And I think and when people see an example of something, and they feel like something is missing, I think that's what they gravitate towards.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you mentioned meeting you where you are, because if folks are tuning in for the first time, this is Naja Speaks. Please follow me at Naja Speaks _vegan soul on Instagram. Naja Speaks is a project of the Black Veg Society, where we are meeting people where they are on their journey towards holistic health, the plant-based lifestyle, and veganism. So that is the key, to meet people where they are. And on that note, let's go to the commercial.
Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are, on their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are birth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.
We are speaking with Yesenia Curry. New book out, Sweet and Savory Life.
Yeah.
What type of reader are you targeting with this particular cookbook, Yesenia? How does it differ from other cookbooks?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I'm a foodie. So this book is for my foodies. It's for people that enjoy good food, that really relish colors, the flavors, the textures of their meals. Secondly, it's for people who are looking to incorporate plant-centric meals, plant-focused meals into their lives, healthier meals into their lives, that want to make a shift, incorporate simpler recipes, things that aren't complicated to put together in the kitchen, and the combination of nutrition and flavor, right? So a lot of times we hear healthy and we hear health foods, and there's a negative connotation with it because we think that it's not supposed to taste good, or we think it won't taste good. But that was important for me to have the collaboration of the two of those. And then for people who are stuck in a rut, who need, some zhuzhing up, so need some inspiration in the kitchen and want to be inspired. This is for everyone looking to be inspired to make good food magic in the kitchen.
I was happy to hear that the recipes in the cookbook were inspired by your travels. Can you talk about that, and any particular recipes that are your favorites in the book on the sweet and savory side?
Right. They're all my babies. But I'll have to think. I know I usually favorites usually rotate between the seasons for me, but depending on what's in season.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Let's see. So right now we're in the spring season, so I'm really into the creamy kelp noodle pasta in the book. That's a really good one. But in terms of traveling, I feel like, first of all, travel expands us in a way that not much else can. Expands our worlds, our mindset, and every cuisine, every place that we've been to, and whether we've had something that was local, but they've sort of veganized and made it plant-based. or whether it was just something, just really good, nourishing food. It lands on me and leaves an impression that I take home with me, and try to infuse into my cooking. So it now becomes a part. So they all become little pieces of me. And so intrinsically, I'm infusing that inspiration into my meals, even before creating this book. And so that's kind of how it is for me. Like we go to a restaurant or we go somewhere and I have a really good meal. I'm like, immediately my wheels are turning. I'm looking at my husband and he's like, I think you can, I think you can maybe do something, And so it's not about duplication or replication. It's really just about inspiration. So I'll go home and then I'll be like, ooh, I can probably maybe incorporate this texture. Maybe I don't have this specific ingredient, but I can do something to kind of, infuse, what I felt into the meal.
Right. Cooking is an art. A lot of people, and there's some people that love to cook, don't love to cook, or like quick cooking. And I'm one of those people that like to get things done in 30 minutes. So when I was reading the book, I was happy to hear that recipes are quick, simple ingredients.
Yes.
You don't have to run around, looking for 1,000 million different exotic things. So that's my husband can get into the long, drawn out.
Right.
Like he likes to cook like that. Me, is this going to be done in like 30 minutes?
Right. What are we doing? We got right. Exactly. And that was right. You bring up a good point, because that was that was important for me also. I didn't want to. This wasn't a book for, super meticulous, laundry list of ingredients. I wanted it to be simple, accessible, super flavorful, meals that anybody can make, whether you have experience in the kitchen or not.
And you have stories after certain sections that you talk about why that is in the book. Why did you felt that was a need? Because a lot of times you see the cookbooks and it's just recipes.
Yeah.
You have the stories added to it. Why was that important? And I love to read cookbooks like that, because we want to hear the background story too. At least I do as a reader. I want it as a storybook, and then we can get to the recipes.
Yes, you said it perfectly, and that was the same thing that I wanted. I didn't want it to be. It's a cookbook, so of course there's recipes, lovely recipes, but I wanted it to be more than that. I wanted it to take people on a journey. I wanted to sort of pepper excerpts and stories throughout the book, throughout each section in the book, just sort of sharing tips and practical tips and holistic, what I call food for thought, to kind of get people thinking about preparing themselves, their mind, body, their spirit, preparing their space to create this nourishment for themselves and their families. So I talk about culinary alchemy, about giving yourself an opportunity to have fun in the kitchen and see what happens. Sometimes we can be so tight with ourselves and rigid, or afraid I might mess it up. But if you sort of just allow yourself to play, you might be surprised. I know I was in the beginning. I didn't start out when we first went plant-based. I didn't start out being a whiz in the kitchen. I wasn't a chef. I wanted quick meals, relatively healthy, because I had small school-age children at the time. So that was important. But yeah, it's so that culinary alchemy is allowing yourself to have fun in the kitchen. I talk about creating a sacred space in the kitchen, which is really, again, just about preparing your mind, preparing before you create, because what we do, the energy that we have and how we are and who we are when we're making food and when we're doing anything really, is infused into that thing. And so people feel it. And so coming from that place, things like listening to your body. A lot of times we have such a disconnect in this world from how things land on us, how we feel. We have a bad feeling or a discomfort in our body, and we don't really know how to correlate that with where it came from. So a lot of those things just sort of kind of, I think, beautifully round out the book to kind of take you on a journey and help you think about, again, not just what you're eating, because that's important, but also how you're doing it, how you're preparing yourself and your space to make these beautiful meals.
Exactly. You touched on an important point because cooking and preparation is still in the soul. That's
Mm.
why some people, if they're really into the cooking that they're doing in preparation, it'll come out one way, where someone's like, I'm just going to throw this together, not even
Yes.
with the proper intention, then it will come
Yeah.
out differently. Very, very important that the energy and the mindset and the love and the soul is there when you're prepping anything and when you're doing anything in general, not just cooking, just anything, because
Absolutely.
that shines through, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's funny. I talk in the book about so I brought up a story about how one day I made I was making something in the kitchen, and my husband, I was frustrated. I had kind of things in my mind, like we all do, right? Like we're human. I had, a million things in my head, and I was just kind of putting something together really quickly. And my husband was like, he just gave me that look, and he was like, somebody needs you to just take a step back, and like I don't want whatever it is that you're feeling like in my food or whatever. And I laughed because I'm like, okay, I'm using my own words against me.
Right.
But it was
As
true.
a
I didn't
kid.
speak. So I just kind of paused and looked at him, and I'm like, all right, you're right. So I took a beat. I took a breath. I took a beat, and I'm like, I'm out here just kind of, slamming cabinets and potentially oversalting the food. Like
Now
when
that-
you're on autopilot, you sometimes you're just, you know what I mean? You're reaching for whatever, it happens.
Right.
And so
Right.
I was like, yeah, let me collect myself. Let me get myself together. I took a beat and resumed with a little bit more peace and love. But it really does make it all the difference.
What are your breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites, whether in the book or outside the book?
Well, I'll start within the book. The tofu scramble is favorite savory. If you look at the picture in there, I was just talking with someone about the book who said that they had never, that they're not vegan, and they'd never thought about tofu. They never thought it could be interesting. They'd never cooked with it, but they saw the picture of the tofu breakfast scramble in my book and was like, that looks really good. I want to make that. And I'm like, listen, it's not me trying to, replicate eggs. It's not me trying to, whether you're into tofu or into eggs, I think it's just a beautiful savory dish to have in the morning for breakfast.
Yes.
Some avocado, some fresh
Yes.
greens, some
Yes.
toast.
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's got the onions and peppers and all the layers of flavors in there.
That is definitely my favorite too.
Really good favorite for breakfast.
And my daughter's favorite.
Yeah.
Plus with the avocado. So I don't know if that's a Latino thing.
I don't know. I've always had an affinity for avocados. There's never too much. So, agreed. And for, let me see, lunch, I'd say a really good quick one is either the black bean stew or the creamy chickpea, cauliflower medley is a really bursting with flavors. There's lots of layers of flavors. If you kind of skim the ingredient list, I like to get creative. So there's like coconut and ginger and all kinds of layers of loveliness.
That's the one. That's the one right there. Yes.
that speaks to you when you saw it. You're like, oh, this.
Yes. Right. Yes. Dinner.
And dinner would be. I love a good pasta. I mentioned it before. The creamy kelp noodle pasta is a really good one, and it's light. I like that one because for anybody who's maybe gluten-free or not, just wants to kind of do something a little bit different than the traditional pasta. It's kelp noodles, and so it's really light. And again, the flavors. I'm really about kind of layering textures and flavors. So it's.
Yes.
So it's an experience with your meal. So that's definitely one of the favorites of the pasta lineups for sure.
And then I'm gonna add two more in there: snack and dessert.
Yes, they're so good. Okay, I'm gonna go. I have a sweet tooth, so I have a lot of snacky favorites. Let me go with the savory first. The loaded nachos.
That's my daughter's favorite. She loves I love nachos. She's a fan of loaded nachos. So.
Yes. And listen, again, it's really all about the layers. So it's the creaminess of the cheese sauce, the black beans, the fresh pico de gallo, salsa fresca, the guacamole. And again, it doesn't take long to put together. And it's traditionally been sort of posed as one of those not healthy for you type of meals. But this is my healthier, much healthier take on it. The cheese sauce is made with a cashew base. And it's just really a good, fun meal to have on the weekend or Super Bowl or, and one of my favorite savory snacky items in the book. The sweet ones, I'm gonna give a few. So I'm gonna start with the chocolate truffle balls.
Okay, yes, I saw that.
I love, and it's funny because anytime that we travel, I'm always looking to be kind of surprised and find like a sweet dessert in the chocolate family or like truffle family. And we've stumbled upon, thankfully, so many really adorable, like hole in the wall, family owned spots that have just made amazingness. And so I wanted to incorporate, one of them was in Tel Aviv. Last year we went and we kind of frequented that spot because I was like, okay, these are really, really good. And so I had the inspiration of wanting to put something in there it's a chocolate brownie truffle. And so it's kind of a beautiful fusion of the two. It's chocolate coated. You see the picture looks like art in the book.
Yes.
So that's definitely something that you want to try. And I have a recipe for arroz con dulce in there, which is a traditional Puerto Rican coconut pudding dish that is traditionally made during the holidays, during the Christmas time, but you can have it any time of the year. It doesn't have to be the holidays for you to enjoy it. I mean, there's so many really good ones in there.
That's the chocolate truffle balls right there.
There you go, chocolate truffle balls. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at Yesenia's Instagram right now at Sweet and Savory Life.
Yes.
So you have pictures of the food there and the book. Looking good. And the travels, which is so cool. Like, you know what? That's a whole nother story where the travels, just going abroad and just going from place to place. That's definitely on my bucket list. You both look like you're having an amazing time, all smiles. So that's awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So where do we said, I think Amazon is where you find the book. But
you can get it on you can purchase online from any of your favorite bookstore retailers, Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart. You can get it at Books A Million. You can just go to my website if you want, YeseniaCurry.com, and it'll funnel all the places that you can buy it from. Or Amazon is usually the easiest. Most people have Prime, so.
that Prime, right? Thanks for that Prime. Like Amazon was the thing during the pandemic. Everybody was ordering from Amazon.
Right.
What other tips and best practices would you like to share about cooking and finding quick recipes, and how should we all best connect with you? Is it through the website, through Instagram? Is there a preference?
Sure. Well, you can best connect with me through Instagram, either with Instagram or the website at sweetandsavorylife.com or at sweetandsavorylife on Instagram, and then my website YeseniaCurry.com. In terms of quick recipes, I think one of the most important things to focus on is to keep it simple, and I talk about that in the book also. Looking for recipes. Find my book and making the recipes in the book because they are simple and non-complicated. But looking for things that don't have a whole lot of complicated ingredients. Keeping it a lot of one pot meals are really good. So like bowls and stews and soups are really good because you keep it all in one bowl. And you can kind of play with it. And a lot of times there's a lot of forgiveness there where, let's say, for example, you don't have everything on the list. Even in my book, like you're making a soup or the black bean stew, for example. If you're missing something, it's pretty forgiving. That you can kind of play around with what you have in your refrigerator, and that's another part of culinary alchemy. Just kind of allowing yourself to play and get creative. So yeah, those are all really good tips to kind of get things together fairly quickly, but also while being health conscious and making a nourishing meal for you and your family.
Yesenia, it was a pleasure. Folks, I have the book. I have it in my car because every time I take a break, I'm reading something. I'm going to do some demos from some of the recipes that are in the book. I have my cookbooks that I'm picking and choosing. Okay, what am I going to do a demo on? So I'm working on that, trying to figure that game plan out.
I love it.
It is a great, simple book, amazing stories, very inspirational, and it's whole foods, plant-based, which is important.
That was absolutely important. Yes.
You do want to nourish your mind, body, and soul. And the best way to do that is through foods that come from the earth. It is Earth Month again.
Yes.
And that is the best way to eat. Whole foods from the earth.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure, Yesenia. Again, folks, go to YeseniaCurry.com. Follow Yesenia on Instagram at Sweet and Savory Life. And let us know how the book has inspired you. Thanks again for tuning in to Naja Speaks. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, follow me at Naja Speaks _vegan so on Instagram and Naja Speaks on Facebook. Support Black Veg Society at blackvegsociety.org. That is how we are able to invite amazing guests like Yesenia on to tell their stories and promote new books. Okay? Enjoy. Thanks again.